As we all know, the US presidential elections were like 2 weeks ago, and Trump defeated Kamala. In this video, I will be ranking the top 10 most powerful American presidents. We will be basing this list on their peak power level and aura. So let's begin. At number 10, we have Joe Biden. Most people will say that Biden was quite a bad president and didn't really do much, but this is just scratching the surface. Biden is actually one of the most mythological presidents. His whole presidency is full of metaphors and symbolism. If we analyze Biden's name, we will uncover that his middle name is Robinette, which sounds pretty girly. This is an ancient tradition turned into a song by Johnny Cash, where a man names his son Sue to get relentlessly bullied by his peers. This is meant to toughen up a child and kickstart the development of his power. This has happened to Biden because we know that at a early age he defeated the interdimensional being known as Fat and entirely vanquished the entity known as Corn Pop. The former will reappear during his presidency. To see his presidency for what it really was, we have to understand the fundamental dichotomy between Dark Brandon and Sleepy Joe. Dark Brandon is a being of pure power and destruction. It is the ego of Biden. Biden's soul continuously sways between the dark side of Brandon and the light of Sleepy Joe. Most people think that Sleepy Joe was just an insult from Trump, but it is actually an esoteric reference only the most powerful of beings would understand. Sleepy Joe perfectly mirrors the medieval idea of the king asleep in the mountain, found in the legend of King Arthur or Frederick Barbarossa. The king will wake up one day when he is most needed by his people and save them in their hour of need. This prophecy can also be seen in the name of an unassuming but pivotal plant called Biden's Hyperborea, or simply chudweed. Hyperborea is an ancient Greek concept of a divinely blessed northern realm. The Sleepy Joe prophecy states that Biden will return sometime in the future and reawaken Hyperborea, ushering in a new golden age for mankind. Biden is a follower of the teachings of the Buddha. He knew that a second term would unleash his ego, Dark Brandon, upon the world. So he denied his ego and chose the path of oneness, Sleepy Joe. Most people think that Buddhism is entirely life denying, but by following the Mahayana teachings, Biden chose to stay in the cycle of samsara out of compassion for others. Joe Biden, in his current form, lands at the 10th spot of this list, but Sleepy Joe is said to be one of the most powerful beings in the universe. At number 9, we have George Bush II. George Bush is inspired by both his father's legacy and by his own karmic ties to the Middle East. You see, Bush is the reincarnation of either Richard the Lionheart, Bohemond of Antioch, King Amalric of Jerusalem, or Baldwin IV of Jerusalem. Karmically, he is a relic of a bygone era, thus he takes up the form of the 21st century Crusader king. At number 8, we have the most evil president, Andrew Jackson. Little known fact, also the first Sith Lord president. Andrew was twisted at a young age by the powers of Darth Sidious, and just like Anakin, he turned to the dark side of being a notoriously violent person, slave owner, and enemy of the Native Americans. Most people don't know this, but the British were defeated in New Orleans by the use of Jackson's Sith powers, and the White House was the first Sith temple burned by the British. At number 7, we have Richard Nixon. Nixon was a detached loner, but behind that cold aura was a man who knew time and space like the back of his hand. You see, Nixon had the power of premonition. This is why he wanted to deport John Lennon. Only a deportation would have saved his life without exposing the president's powers. Nixon's destiny was to become American emperor, but he got nerfed by God with Watergate because he knew that it would make Richard too powerful. At number 6, it is Donald Trump. Donald is that which binds the West and East together. He undoubtedly has the mandate of heaven after surviving 2 assassination attempts. We know how much he talks about China, but instead of anything negative, we should see this as a deep longing, in the form of his ancestors talking through him. Trump is of course a Confucian at heart. Trump is also part of the new triumvirate together with Musk and JD Vance. Both Trump and Musk have origins shrouded in mystery. We've already talked of the Chinese theory. Besides this one, there is another Asian hypothesis, and that is Pakistan. It is said that there used to be a whole tribe of Trumps there, and that only few remain today. But who knows, this might all be legend. And for Musk, the Balkan country of Bosnia holds a traditional belief that Musk's origins lie in one of their entities, and that this was the reason why he named his car company Tesla. Origins shrouded in mystery are common in legendary figures. An example is Percival, a knight of the Round Table, who is said to have grown up in a Welsh forest, uninitiated in the ways of men. In this triumvirate analogy, Vance is most similar to Lepidus, even though he's part of the second one and not the first, but we will get back to that later. Dana White is like Mark Anthony because he's just Trump's buddy. Trump is of course seen as Caesar, but he's also Genghis Khan, just like Musk because they both have a bunch of children with various women. Another thing that links Trump to Caesar is his son, which Trump cultists believe is the second coming of Octavian Augustus. Donald is seen as the peace candidate by some, but we know that Caesar was planning an invasion of Parthia, and Trump is very pro-Israel, Parthia of course being an Iranian state. This together with the Lepidus analogy shows us that history does not repeat, but it sure as hell does rhyme. Trump is also the opposite of Eowyn from Lord of the Rings because he is magically immune from women trying to take his power. Number 5 on our list is Kennedy. Now Kennedy rivaled and insulted the gods, which led to his downfall. We all know what Kennedy did for humanity reaching the stars. He was the modern day Prometheus, taking fire from the gods and giving it to man. Fire is supposed to represent technology and knowledge. Kennedy conspiracy theorists are convinced that he was going to declassify documents ranging from UFOs to politics. Prometheus was punished by Zeus by being chained to a mountain and tortured by a bird. In the Gnostic tradition, Lucifer the Lightbringer is seen as an analogous figure to Prometheus. We know that Lucifer was the most beautiful angel created by God, and Kennedy in his time was seen as quite a handsome man. Number 4 is Obama. He has the gift of speech, riz, and charisma, maybe the strongest in the land. He is the only being alive and in our universe capable of defeating Trump. But the laws of the realm do not allow him to contest Donald. But there is the possibility that the hubris of Trump makes him change these laws in order to do battle with the only man questioning his power. This could unlock a path where Obama becomes the savior of the United States. Number 3 is Washington. He has the power of primacy. He is the creator of the realm. And much like the creator of the world in the biblical conception, his relation to slavery is often overlooked. It is important to note that Washington is not a man. He is a deity with a Lovecraftian cult. George is a god, and thus infallible in the eyes of the cultists. Washington, D.C., the state, and the day, and especially the obelisk, serve as energy collectors and amplifiers for their occult activities. Number 2 is physically the most powerful and imposing president ever, Theodore Roosevelt. He was a great lover of nature. As president, he opened many national parks, but to this day it is unknown whether he was a bull moose who could shapeshift into a human or a human who could shapeshift into a bull moose. He was born with asthma and went through a lot of hardship with his wife and parents dying while he was still young. He harnessed the power of sheer will and friendship and rose above the tragedy. He won the Nobel Peace Prize, conserved nature, fought monopolies. It is canonically accurate to view him as immortal in our universe because he survived an assassination attempt. He did not actually die in our world. He switched universes and continued fighting crime as Batman, a rich man who lost his family in a city inspired by New York. Also, the teddy bear was named after him. And the most powerful American president is the GOAT himself, Abraham Lincoln. He won the Civil War, saved the US 2 terms, but most importantly, freed the slaves. This led him to max out all his karma and aura until he became psychic. He lost his son and would hold seances in the White House to talk to him. It is believed that Lincoln's residual energy spectre rivals the power of Sleepy Joe. And that is it. Quick shout out to honorable mentions Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, and Fillmore. And that is it for the video. Love you all and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and bye bye.